So then, without more from me really, I'm pleased to welcome to the stage Helen Baxter from EY. So we're going to look a bit about what does biotech look like in the future and how transformative can we be. I think we transformed a long way actually, so I'm looking forward to see how exciting we keep this pace up. Helen.
Hello everybody, thank you for having me. So my name's Helen Baxter. I work in the life sciences and pharma space within EY, focusing on digital solutions. Now, as mentioned, Pamela Spence, our global sector lead, was supposed to be here. The joys of COVID have attacked, and so I've been parachuted in to kind of take over from her. So we're going to talk about the future of healthcare. It's a bit more broad than just the future of biotech, because I think it's all-encompassing. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about it with kind of two hats on. I want you to think about it with your organisation, professional hat on, if you like. And then I want you to think about it as the patient, as the consumer of healthcare. So there are four things that are continuing to redesign the biopharma industry. Now, COVID hasn't fundamentally changed what was happening within the industry, but what it's done is it has accelerated the move from kind of traditional arenas into non-traditional, so taking treatments from out of the hospital into other areas. From a consumer perspective, from a patient perspective, what it's done is it's proven the willingness of patients to adopt technology at scale. So if we go through this slide, starting at the socio-economic forces, so healthcare continues to be a huge percentage of GDP for every country, it doesn't matter where you are. And the pressures on that GDP, the pressure on getting as much productivity, as much bang for your buck, if you like, from the money that is spent on it continues to grow. From a technology perspective, technology has an even bigger part to play in the role of healthcare going forward, and it's all around the personalisation of healthcare. So the rise of the consumer voice, means that they're expecting healthcare to be part of their journey, and they have a say in what it is that they're going to do. And as a pharma bio, if you're not thinking about that personalisation journey, if you're still thinking just about your product and you're not thinking about a service you might wrap around it or the personalisation of that product, then there's the possibility that you're going to either leave money on the table for your competitors, or patients aren't going to adopt your products or your services because now they're used to choice or they're demanding choice. So this leads nicely on, if you like, to just the choice, the behaviours of the customer, the behaviours of the patient. They are demanding more. Their voice is getting louder and louder. And I'll come back to that in a little bit. And then sort of wrapping those three up, you look at capital efficiency. So everything costs more. So they want the world, I guess, the GDP, whatever you like, demands more productivity. And all those three things lean into it. So as a biopharma, as an organisation within healthcare, you need to think about how you're organising yourself to make sure that you're attractive from an M&A perspective, or your capital efficiency looks attractive. So many organisations within the healthcare space, so many. And if you are a player, if you're a company that's been around for a long time, then there's sort of a general attitude can be, well, it ain't broke, kind of don't mess. Or we've done this for a really long time, we've made a lot of money doing it, we've been really successful, why would we change? Plus then you've got the challenges from both a financial and a people perspective to try to make those changes, to force those changes through. If you're a newer organisation, you tend to be a little bit more entrepreneurial, a little bit more nimble, a little bit more kind of fleet of foot. So the opportunity to embrace the changes that are kind of going to come about from this kind of smart health future that we believe is coming down the path are there for the taking. So currently, I would say, if we look at this slide, we're in the digitised hospital area. COVID has accelerated us into connected, and I think in the Western world we are either in the connected hospital space, or we're certainly really close to being there. And then that leaves the future, where we believe that there's going to be a future of smart health systems, where it's much more about personalisation, it's much more about mining data really cleverly, and it's much more about the melding, the blending of the virtual and the physical world. to people kind of all over the place, and people are nodding their heads saying, yeah, Helen, this makes sense. So this looks at the organisation perspective, and it looks at the consumer perspective. So as a consumer, now you've had a taste, if you like, of this blending of the virtual and the physical. This is what we're expecting, this is what we want more of. I'm not saying it wasn't a massive pain in the bottom, not being able to get your GP, but having the flexibility of being able to, have a video conference or a telephone conference with your GP for 2 minutes rather than schlepping into town, getting your appointment, sitting in the waiting room, blah, blah, blah. That's been a real advantage. And people aren't going to want to go back to that. People are going to want the future to be a mixture of that. Yes, we can see the GP, but also we can have this 5-minute telephone conversation if and when needed. And then from an organisation perspective, possibly not quite so the line doesn't go quite up quite so much, but there has been a recognition or a realisation that this blending of the virtual and the physical works really well from both the patient experience and patient positivity, I guess, consumer positivity, but also in terms of from a financial benefit. So for the future, for organisations to look at how we can keep blending those two worlds to make sure that we're recognising the financial benefits from it. 2025, over 10,000 exabytes of healthcare data. And an exabyte is 1 billion gigabytes, which is just like the mind boggles. So lots and lots of data. How can we mine that data effectively to use it efficiently and in the best possible way moving forward for organisations? How can we get the value from that data? How can we make data kind of at the centre of what the future of healthcare looks like? So there was an article in a UK newspaper, I can't remember which one, a couple of months ago, and it was envisaging a future, an antibiotic-resistant future. And there was a chap whose official title was a medical engineer, which was actually a doctor, as we would call it now. And he was sitting down for his breakfast, and it was, eggs, bacon, sausage type thing. And he had a genome scanner, and he was scanning his breakfast to check for salmonella. And that's the idea of the use of real-time data to gain insight. And even today, so that's the future world, even today you've got digital inhalers. If you're a diabetic, you can have a sensor and you just put your phone on your sensor and it sends real-time information straight to your GP. And your GP is using kind of that real-time insightful information, that data, to make decisions about your health plan moving forward. So the value of data, both in the imagined future world and even the value of data in the world we live in today, is becoming more and more important. And the wee quote at the bottom, I love: medicine is no longer a clinical science supported by data. It's moving to a data science supported by clinicians. Now, my brother-in-law, who's a GP, hates that quote and tells me I should never say it again. But I think it's really interesting in terms of how you look at the future world. So I'm going to whiz through this slide because I come onto it. It makes sense a little bit more later. But this is basically all around, what are we going to do with data? How are we going to work it effectively? So it's about connecting different data streams. It's combining different data sets. And then it's sharing the data that we've got from all these different sources, obviously in a regulated, IP-protected kind of way, but to make sure that we're driving insights and gaining as much value as possible, as much value as we can, to then put that into the decisions that we make, both as a individual consumer or patient and also as an organisation perspective, the decisions that you make moving forwards. We've talked about data and we've talked about the use of data in the future of healthcare and the value of it. Now, who is going to be a leader in this future of healthcare that we've envisaged? I don't know. But our industry analysts did a whole load of analysis of various different industries, across different industries, to look at different companies and to see which companies were winning in the marketplace today. And the 5 winning characteristics were the ones that came out. Now, I know that these 4 example companies are all platform-based, but actually it wasn't just platform-based companies we looked at. It was a whole range from all sorts of different industries. So convenience, Amazon, like it or loathe it, it's a part of the day-to-day life. And I was thinking about now at lunchtime when I got a phone call, an email rather, from the school telling me that Tilly, my 8-year-old, has to be a Victorian maid on Monday and should be dressed as a Victorian maid. And I was like, brilliant. Where on earth am I going to find the outfit for a Victorian maid? Went onto Amazon, there was one for £9.99, click send, it's coming to me tomorrow. You know, if we run out of fairy liquid, you can get it delivered to your door. If your great aunt up north has got a birthday and you need to send a present, it's all just there to be done really quickly, really easily, sort of at the click of a button. The seamless trading exchange, so Airbnb for this one. So Airbnb not only disrupted the entire hospitality industry, it also changed the way that people looked at accommodation and looked at holidays. So it's not just about booking a hotel room or booking a villa, wherever you might want to go. It's a much more personalised, unique experience. It's an experience, that's the best way to describe it. So if you want to go to Scotland and stay in a castle with a laird and his staff and have the whole kind of landed gentry experience, you can do that for a weekend. You know, 5-10 years ago, that was a much more difficult thing to have as part of your weekend activities. Predictive and personalised, so Netflix. So it tells me what I'm going to watch next. It tells me what my children want to watch next. It tells me what my au pair wants to watch next. And it's TV shows, and it's movies, and it's one-offs, and it's documentaries. It's the whole kit and caboodle. And it looks at what it is that you've done, and then it predicts it so that it's personal to me, to the kids, to the au pair, to my husband, whatever. And then moving on to that, staying with Netflix, you've got consumer choice, the high consumer choice, and like jeepers creepers, the amount of content that is there, the amount of choices there. Sometimes you just want to go back to the BBC and watch what's live. But this is the kind of the world that we live in, and that's what's expected, or what we as consumers expect. And then transparency, Uber. You can choose your car, you can choose your driver, you can choose the price, you can choose where it is, where you're going, you can watch it come to you, and then you can cancel it at the last minute because you've changed your plans or the tube has come or whatever it might be. So those 5 winning characteristics, how they're going to kind of come about in healthcare, I don't know. And I don't know who's going to embrace them and who's going to really take it forward, but I can guarantee, silly thing to say, but I truly expect that in the future, the winning people within healthcare will have maybe not all of these winning characteristics, but certainly some of them. And welcome to the age of the health experience. I love the way we've somehow used a mathematical equation to get our point across. So this is all around, we're encouraging people in the industry to focus on health experience rather than a product or a service. It's about, going back to this personalisation idea, it's about fully engaging with a user at any part of their kind of healthcare journey. Be it a doctor, be it a patient, it's not just about delivering to them better care or a better product or a better service, it's about delivering this better experience. So our equation to unlock the value, the future value, is around combining data, utilising data to unlock the health experience. So you've seen the data bit before, but that's basically around connecting data better, combining data better, using artificial intelligence, analytics, all these clever technologies to really bring out insights, value, the things that we can't see sort of front line, but delving into it to really find what's going to help drivers. And that in turn comes through to the success of health experience, which is all about personalisation and all about personalised outcomes, bringing in those 5 winning characteristics. So you've got transparency and choice, you've predictive and personalised, you've got data liquidity, so being able to share that data, and then also the integration of the physical world and the virtual world. This is a shameless plug of our report, which I hope if what I'm talking about is a little bit interesting to you, you can go and have a wee look at this. But it's around the 5 trends of the future of health. So humans at the centre, kind of very straightforward, very clear, simple messaging. But the reality is, at the moment, is you tend to, because of the complexity of healthcare, because of the disparity within it, you tend to have the patient or the consumer at the side, and the healthcare is sort of thrust upon them, if you like. Humans at the centre, it's you as the patient, you as the consumer, you're in there and you've got a personalised product, you've got a personalised service. It's about Helen, or it's about Peter, or it's about Paul, or whatever it might be. And then moving to supply chain. So this is about increased agility, increased flexibility. So one of my roles within EY is to focus on the cell and gene industry. And with the therapies from the cell and gene part of the industry that are coming to market, the flexibility, the agility is already having to happen, because you can't do the traditional supply chain A to B, because there tends to be many more players involved. There tends to have to be quicker timelines. There's all sorts of different variations, but it's ultimately about the right product to the right person at the right time every time. And so that agility, that flexibility that needs to start happening within supply chain is sort of already happening. So it's sort of on its journey. And then if we go to outcomes, so this is really about innovative contracting, so easing the pressure on the GDP that I talked about right at the beginning, so getting more bang for your buck, interrogating the data and getting better outcomes for the patient, for the biofarmer, for the payer, for the government, for the full kind of landscape. Back to data we come. So once again, interrogating, making the best out of that data that we've got to create rich, multidimensional ideas and insights that we can then use to create a better situation for our patients. And then finally is sustainability. So the demand for sustainable practice, the desire from consumers, the desires from your stakeholders, the desire from kind of the finance community, is that sustainability now has to be kind of front and centre to what people are doing going forward. So the people have to embrace the societal environmental value that sustainable practices can bring. And I argue that if you're not thinking about sustainability, no matter the size of your organisation, then actually you're missing a trick, because that is it makes you that much more attractive in the marketplace. In the near future, data and technology will drive not just new kinds of healthcare, but care that is better, care that is more human. Everything I've talked about is sort of our vision and our belief and I guess looking into the future with our crystal balls. And what we've done on this YouTube video is we've tried to, We've tried to make it a reality. So we've created, it's about an 8-minute long video, so have it with a cup of tea. And it's a dual screen. So you've got what the now is, what happens at the moment, versus what the future might look like. And you follow 3 patients along their journey, and you see what actually the improvements arguably could be by taking on board everything that we've talked about here. And at the end, there is a series of questions, no matter where you sit, so with your consumer hat on, your patient hat on, or if you're a payer or a farmer or a medtech or whatever it might be. There's a series of questions that we hope would make you think, that are relevant to everybody, to think about what you want the future of healthcare to be, how you want to operate as an individual, but also as an organisation in the future of healthcare. I guess in the healthcare ecosystem. So I think it's really exciting. The kind of the power of technology, the power of the insights that this data can bring. And arguably, the more and more people that sort of, I guess, take hold of that and command it means that our ongoing adventure in this life science and healthcare industry will be just as exciting as it has been in the past. So a little question to leave you thinking on, but thank you very much.
You have time for a couple of questions if